We finally got something. Drink up day one, Harlows, because we finally got some gameplay. Harlow gameplay was shown at Gamescom, and we got to see her Chroma Accelerator action skill in action along with Randy Pitchford being interviewed, and he shared some details about how many different ways this one action skill can work. Today is also the day the booths opened up at Gamescom, so anyone could play as Harlow and EpicNNG who took the opportunity to be on the ground floor and play as Harlow for the first time. I mentioned him because he has been very active over on the Twitterverse, and I want to spread some info he's been sending out, so I will have his channel linked down below if y'all want to check him out. Now to start, let's talk about Harlow. Personally for me, there honestly isn't a ton to take away here. It's just exciting to see Harlow gameplay. We didn't get to see any skill trees or anything, just what the person playing was using and more of the Chroma Accelerator in action. The Chroma Accelerator passively, as it goes through enemies, coats them in this colorful ailment called entanglement. If you don't know, Harlow's passive is this entanglement, and it makes it so everyone it's applied to takes damage from anyone else being hurt that has entanglement applied. When Harlow uses this Chroma Accelerator and it passes through enemies, it coats them with entanglement and eventually explodes like a giant nuke. Harlow's Chroma Accelerator travels a pretty good distance, and I remember at first thinking that seems kind of useless, but the trick is the entanglement. Not every enemy has to be in the blast zone to be affected. Just one enemy needs to be hurt by the blast, and then every enemy that's been entangled will take damage. Okay, so that's how our action skill and passive work. Now as for the Gamescom gameplay and info, we saw when the person playing used the Chroma Accelerator and it passed through enemies, they would become stunned, which is pretty cool, but it's not the only effect the Chroma Accelerator action skill can have. My guess, without seeing the skill tree, is that this stun is an augment maybe? Again, that's a complete guess. Randy Pitchford himself explains that this stun is not the only effect the Chroma Accelerator action skill can have. He listed on top of stunning enemies, you can make it lock enemies up in the air like a phase lock, you can make it so the Chroma Accelerator bounces around, or give it time dilation so it slows enemies and other things too, like bullets. As for Harlow, that is pretty much all the takeaways I have from this gameplay, but I've still got plenty more info about Borderlands 4 in general, so let's dive into that. Sticking with Harlow, we have a little fun fact Randy Pitchford shared. Apparently, they used to have a different default head for Harlow and changed it to what we see her with now. This kind of made me wonder what head cosmetic used to be her default. He defined it as very nerdy, so I kind of wonder if we'll be able to find out by sifting through her cosmetics in game, if we can find which head used to be her original, or if they'll ever show that off or anything. I think that's kind of cool. I like this, backstory kind of stuff when a game gets designed. As for another little piece of fun information, right at the start of the Randy Pitchford interview, he confirms TDR to have guns with legs in Borderlands 4. Some of you might be saying, well, yeah, duh, but this is kind of cool because it also means that TDR licensed parts can pass on a reload to give a Maliwan or a Jacobs gun legs, which is exciting, cool, and kind of funny to think about. Next up, Randy talked about missions, and when asked how many missions were in the game, which seemed kind of like a loaded question, he answered a healthy amount, and then went on to say the Borderlands 4 campaign is, quote, about the same length as past Borderlands games, which this to me sounds perfect. I don't want the Borderlands 4 campaign to feel dragged out, and so long as we don't get some Eden 6 part of the game where one location is way longer than the others, then I think we are good. Now, as for side missions, I want to play this clip of Randy talking and let you guys hear this for yourself.
Now, Borderlands no stranger to having tons of missions. How many missions are we looking at in Borderlands 4?
Well, I will tell you that there's a very, very healthy main campaign. I'm not going to tell you the exact number of missions, but all of the things that are like critical path that are necessary for the main storyline, it's about the length of what you would expect if you've played past Borderlands games. But with the side quests and the side missions, we have not just double down, but triple down. There's like a multitude more than we've ever done before. So many, and you could do them or not. They're all totally optional. Some of them are just quick little, almost instantaneous little fun side things. Others are full drawn out adventures, the length of some of our DLCs, all for just a side quest outside of the main story beat.
Okay, so he says things like triple the amount of side quests and things like that, which on the surface sounds great, but here is where my concern comes in. He says some are just pressing a button or something, and if he is including that as a side quest kind of material content, then that leads me to believe that he is including the open world activities as quote unquote side quests, which I personally would not be a fan of. I like the open world activity stuff, it sounds cool, but it's no replacement for actual side quests. I want the activities to be supplemental and not a replacement for the side quests we know and love. Now, we have seen that there are the typical Borderlands side quests in Borderlands 4, so it's not like I'm saying they completely did away with them. I just hope they didn't do far less of those in turn for more activities. Again, I want them to be supplemental, not replacements. But what do you guys think? Am I just digging in too deep and worrying for nothing? Maybe I am. Let me hear your thoughts below. Moving on though, we've already seen this, but I'll just throw it out there for those that don't know. Randy did say here that not only does your character show up in cutscenes, but all customizations to your character show up as well. I can only imagine we will have some very goofy cosmetics, which will definitely make for some funny moments. Which kind of reminds me of Dead Rising from the sound of it, a cutscene that is serious and completely unaware of this really goofy costume you're wearing is awesome. And Dead Rising definitely got some laughs out of me for that, so I can't wait to see that as well in Borderlands 4, especially with that more serious tone that Borderlands 4 has taken on. I think it'll make it a lot more comical. Next up, something else that also happened was a partnership between Borderlands 4 and Nvidia. And if you buy a 50 series graphics card, you can get a free copy of Borderlands 4, which is, that's cool, I guess. They show in this trailer that they're getting 200 plus frames in 4K with DLSS 4 with frame generation on. And I am the type that doesn't care much for DLSS and fake frames, especially when a game is optimized to rely on DLSS, i.e. they were too lazy to optimize the game. But the good news here is with DLSS 4 getting 200 plus frames, that probably, big emphasis on probably, means you are getting pretty decent frames at native 4K, which leaves me pretty optimistic about optimization for Borderlands 4 on PC. Now, I also have some tweets here from EpicNNG, who said here that the game runs smooth and specifies the fact that DLSS does not help with things like stuttering. So I appreciate someone who understands this kind of stuff sharing this information, because this also boosts my optimism about Borderlands 4 optimization on PC. So not only that, but he specifies that even with DLSS turned off, he is getting high performance results, which is amazing to hear. This makes me exponentially less worried and more excited. Now, also shown in the Nvidia trailer, we saw the 4 playable Vault Hunters all sitting, and then Rafa walks forward, and people speculate this is the character select screen, and the player chose Rafa, so he's walking out. This also looks like a pretty tight, small room, like a prison cell, which would work perfectly into the theory I've been following, where we start off the game in a prison, and the beginning tutorial is us escaping. If you'd like to hear more about this theory, then be sure to check out this video here, linked in the description down below. JoltsDude139, linked down below, even tweeted about this potentially being the character select screen, and Graham Timmons, the creative director of Borderlands 4, teased us by retweeting and saying, could it be? It would be really nice and cool, Mr. Timmons, if you could just confirm this in the comments. No big deal, just like a yes or no or something. You don't have to type anything big, you know? Anyways, next we have this here from EpicNNG, showing a screenshot of a legendary as the item of the day. And I haven't checked this out yet, but I wonder how the economy of this game will compare to Borderlands 3. Graham Timmons replies saying he hopes that he can't afford it, and if we look at this purple sniper, it's about $10,000 and the guy just barely can afford it with $13,000. So I do wonder how much more that legendary would cost. Another grab from the Twitterverse was JoltsDude139 again, link down below, with a screenshot of the Chroma Accelerator action skill being used and saying the action skill has been toned back visually, indicating much less visual pollution, which is an awesome adjustment to be made. With that though guys, that was everything I had to share today. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and if you stayed till this point, you're a freaking legend. Can't wait to get more Harlow trailers and whatnot. I am very excited for her character as someone that plans to play Harlow himself day one, so I am for certain here for all the Harlow coverage and of course Borderlands coverage in general. So if you like Borderlands, consider subscribing, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out.